Hi all, welcome back to my channel, Quilter Chris. My name is Kristen and I'm so glad you're here. So this time what we're working on is the finishing kit for the Designer Mystery Block of the Month. And so I'm going to be showing you what that looks like. And so this is the block 1 square and this is the finishing area around the quilt square. So that's block 1 and then this is block 2. And the pattern remains the same. You end up alternating these two designs for all the blocks in the series. So I will show you how I sew these up. These squares right here can be paper pieced, and I will show you how I do that. You can also make these pieces in advance by sewing on these corners. So you could make them in advance for all your quilt squares so they're ready to sew on, which on a month-to-month basis will make it go faster. If you like it and you get anything out of it, please make sure you like and subscribe. Hey y'all, so today I'm working on the finishing kit for the 2025 Mystery Block of the Month, the Designer Mystery Block of the Month, and I just kind of wanted to show you my process. There's some unique techniques on this, and so I just wanted to show you how I was doing it. This is what the finishing kit looks like. And it kind of alternates. It goes every other one. These are longer strips, and then these are pieced kind of to look like flowers. They have green stems. Every one of every one of these that has the long strips has one of these black and white squares like this. And if you have the kit, it comes with this paper piecing, and I was going to show you how I do that paper piecing. And then I was going to show you how I work ahead. So I will do the finishing for block 1 and 2 today, and then I'll show you how I work ahead. I'm going to finish all these green leaves ahead of time and all of these little squares because they get white corners on them. So I'll finish all of those. I may sew them into pairs ahead of time as well. It makes it easier to put it together. But I wanted to show you first how I do the corner piece. So we're going to work on this today. So this isn't hard. If I know that paper piecing can intimidate a lot of people, and so you don't have to do it this way. In the directions, it gives you instructions for cutting and piecing it a more traditional way. But the paper piecing does help to make sure that it's accurate. So some things that I use for my paper piecing, and I will say none of these are necessary. When I first started paper piecing, I did not have all these fancier tools. So if you don't have it, I will share alternatives. So obviously you need the paper. So it has the numbers on one side and it's blank on the other side. This blank side is where we put our fabric. And when we go to sew this, we're going to sew on the lines, right? That's how it helps it be accurate. So we're going to need our paper. I use a glue stick. I have my seam ripper. A roller, but you can finger press or use your iron. I have this add a quarter ruler. This is a neat ruler. If you look on the side, it angles down, and then it has this little lip right here. And I'll show you how that works in a minute. But if you don't have one of these, you don't need this to paper piece this block. You can also use a traditional ruler of whatever size you want. Okay, so here's how I do it. You flip the paper over, and when you hold it over, I don't think you can see it on camera, but the numbers will show through the paper. And I'm going to use my glue stick, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on it. Now, this glue, it won't gum up your needle. It's water soluble. I think it's great. You can get refills on this however you want to do it, but you can also just pin this on if you want. Then you take your square, and the great thing about paper piecing is they give you what size to cut this, but if your cutting is off, it's not a big deal. So this gets pointed upwards like this in a diamond shape. And when I'm placing this, you really just look to make sure the points are kind of even all the way around. and then you kind of press in the center, and the gluing helps hold it while you sew it on. Now, you have a couple of steps that you can do here. You can just go and sew this on. That's fine. That's what I'm going to do. That's how I do it. Or you can put the piece number 2 here right away, and then you can sew it at once, and that saves you a step. I like to sew it on. You also want to, on your sewing machine, you want to turn down your stitch lengths. I have a Bernina, and I turn mine down to 1.8. What that does is it helps perforate the paper, so when you go to take the paper off, it will be easier. So I'm going to go stitch around this, and I'll come back and show it to you. Okay, here's my piece sewn on, and you can see it's on the back here. I just sewed on those lines. So now you have 2, 3, 4, and 5. So really, you just want to pick 2 corners and sew those on, and then do the next 2 corners. But you want to pick 2 corners that are opposite each other. So we're going to take this and we're going to lay it flat and flip it over. And I'm going to start with piece 2 and 3. This is where we're going to use this ruler. We lay it down so that the edge of the ruler is right next to the line. We bend this up, and then we have our fabric here. Then we take the ruler and we turn it upside down, and that little lip grabs onto the edge of the fabric. Take your rotary cutter and you trim off the excess. Now you have a perfect 1/4 of an inch hanging off the side. And then we're going to do that for the 3 as well. Okay, so now that we could do the whole thing all at once, I'm just doing these 2 right now, and it's easy to tell where we need to put our white pieces. So now we take our triangles and we're going to put them right sides together and line up the edge just like this. Now, you can put some of the glue in the seam allowance if you want. You can just lay this down like this and carry it like this to your sewing machine. So that one's done, and then we're going to do the same thing on the opposite corner. Okay, then you will have a piece that looks like this. So now you can either take this over to your iron, you can finger press it, you can do your seam roller, whatever you like. Okay, so now we just repeat the same thing on these 2 sides. Okay, now that's trimmed, and we're going to put the white ones on these corners. As you can see, I messed up and I grabbed this edge here. That's easy to fix. I'm going to rip out just right here, and then I'll be able to re-sew it. Okay, so I ripped it out. I'm going to sew it again, and then I'll come back and show it to you. So then you will open these up, and again, finger press it with your iron, use your roller, whatever you want, and then you trim it up, and you take off the paper. So I will press this real quick, and then I'll show that to you. So I took mine to the iron, and I pressed it, and now I'm going to trim it up. To trim it up, you're just going to follow this outside line. So we have it all trimmed, and now we're going to take off the paper. So you start with these longer lines here. And you just fold it back, and it should tear off just like that. Okay, and then this one just comes off in the middle. Even though we had that glue on there, it just comes right off. You don't see the glue. Okay, that's also, kids often like to tear off the paper. If you mess up, you don't get it the right size, you don't like how it looks, whatever, it comes with a lot in here. This makes 42. I think you only need 24. You'll want to look at the pattern. but you have plenty of extra fabric and everything. As you can see, I already made mine and took off the paper. So it really ends up being your personal choice how you want to piece these. Okay, so now we're going to put together this first finishing on this first block. And so we're just doing it exactly how the pattern says. We're going to do this one. So basically I have these strips cut, and I'm going to take white fabric on the corners, and that's how we put it together. So this is the fabric. Pretty cute. I already have mine cut. And these are the corners. And this is the piece B that goes here. You'll have 4 of these, and I will turn mine so they're all going the right way. You have 4 of these, and so you're going to need 8 of these. These get sewn on to every corner. I'm just going to draw a line with my pencil on 8 of these. Okay, and I'll sew these on and come back and show it. Okay, so I drew the lines on all my squares, and now I'm going to sew them on. Okay, I sewed on my corners, and I'll trim them up and iron them. Okay, they're all completed, and now we get to sew this onto the block. So we will need 4 of our completed corner squares, and we will just sew them on to the ends of 2 of them, and 2 of these just get sewn on like this to our block. So I'll sew it together and come back and show it to you. Okay, so I have my sides sewn on, and I put my corners on here. I will say that if you have some time, maybe on a weekend, that you could pre-make these on the edges and these sewing on these corners. And then after you complete a block, it'll be really quick just to add on the finishing kit. Okay, I'm going to sew it together and show it to you all done. Here is my completed block. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for me. I'm really happy with it. Now so half the blocks will have this setting, and another half will have a very similar but not exact setting. So we'll go through that as well. So to do the second setting, you can see it here, we're going to need 8 of piece G. We're going to need 8 of piece C. We're going to need 4 of piece E. We're going to need 16 of piece B. We won't need the corners. Those only go on the other style of blocks. So first what we're going to do is, and this is something you could do ahead, you could do all of these, is we're going to put piece C on 2 corners. There are 2 corners diagonally. And here, piece G, you have this, and you'll need to put 2 of piece B on each corner. So I'm going to work on this, and I'll come back and show it to you. Okay, so we have these all pieced together. We have these pieced together. And then we're going to put them together. We'll put just 2 together without the green leaves. These 2 will go with the green leaves on either side. And then I will press it and show them to you. And then we'll add them to the block. So we've got these finished, and we're going to sew them onto our square. Okay, so I finished up this one. This is block 2. And this is block 1. And so we will work on, we'll have the next block as soon as it comes out, and I'll just show it to you finished with the finishing kit after I do a sew along video with it. But thanks so much for watching. Okay, y'all, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you really liked it and you got something out of it. If you do like it, please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye-bye now.